Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-wee. Boy, did Tucker get attacked by every single media outlet there was yesterday in the fallout of him releasing the January 6th tapes. But of course, we cannot forget the people that helped Tucker obtain those tapes in Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, and one of the January 6th committee liars, Adam Kinzinger. I hope the media take every one of Tucker Carlson's false assertions and ask Speaker McCarthy if he agrees. He cannot skirt away from answering. It appears Fox News is coming to knowingly lie to its viewers. Well, lucky for Kissinger, Kevin McCarthy was asked, and here was his answer.
No, I said at the very beginning transparency. And so what I wanted to produce for everybody is exactly what I said, that people could actually look at it and see what's gone on that day. So,
But what that seems to be the dead opposite of what the Biden administration is. McCarthy all about truth and transparency, and Joe Biden calls a lid at 9:33 a.m. But this isn't about Joe Biden. We got to get back to January 6th. Now, Chuck Schumer, he had some unflattering words for Tucker Carlson's reporting, and he decided to go up in the Senate chambers and, well, cry about it. Here's what he said.
Last night, millions of Americans tuned in to one of the most shameful hours we have ever seen on cable television. With contempt for the facts, disregard of the risks, and knowing full well he was lying to his audience, Fox News host Tucker Carlson ran a lengthy segment last night arguing the January 6th Capitol attack was not a violent insurrection. By diving deep into the waters of conspiracy and cherry-picking from thousands of hours of security footage, Mr. Carlson told the bold-faced lie that the Capitol attack, which we all saw with our own eyes, was somehow not an attack at all.
That's a lot of whining coming from a old man Joker looking guy. But being the great reporter that Tucker Carlson is, well, he's more of an entertainer, but he decided to at least try to do some actual journalism and get the other side of the story. And old Chucky proved it here. I was invited on Tucker Carlson's show. I will agree to go on after Tucker Carlson admits to his viewers live on air that he has been lying to them about the 2020 elections and about what happened on January 6th. So here's the thing, the whole transparency thing we were talking about earlier, there was no transparency in the 2020 election, leaving many people now, including myself, to question the legitimacy of the election. And there was no thorough investigation, no what in the world was going on. And a lot of things that happened on in that election that you don't normally see. You had a lot of bellwether counties go to Trump's direction, yet Joe Biden won. And people just want to know how and why and what happened. But nonetheless, the violent insurrection that they're claiming, and yet there were people in the Capitol that were at the Capitol. In this clip, they weren't actually in the Capitol, but these people didn't seem like they wanted to destroy the Capitol at all. And this was footage found off TikTok. Take a look.
Letting this happen? Why haven't you called for backup? Where is your backup? This is our damn Capitol building, and y'all are letting it get destroyed on your watch. All of you, call for backup. Get some help down here.
Did that look like insurrection to you? That looked like genuine concern for the Capitol building, while Capitol police officers were standing around and doing nothing. And I get why the Capitol Police couldn't do much, and now we know for sure that everybody who could have done something about it either ignored it, went AWOL. They did not help the Capitol Police officers in this. They were well underprepared, and it seems very early on the Capitol Police knew about it. Take a look at this.
They set us the up. That's what they did. They set up 64. Oh, absolutely. And then they asked y'all to come 2 hours later. They set us up. They needed everybody right away. Nah, right away. They set us the up. So now we ain't got shit. We ain't got no motherfucking. They set us the up. Take this motherfucker. Shit.
Now, yeah, they definitely they definitely set the Capitol Police up for failure there. Now, how did the Biden administration take the news of this? Well, here's the worst communicating press secretary I've ever seen in my entire life, Karine Jean-Pierre, on how the president thought of it.
Anybody who watched that video would strongly disagree. Anybody who watched that video with their own eyes in a real way and saw what happened on that day would disagree with what was just stated. The president has been very clear. January 6th was the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War, and we should be focused on making sure that never happens again. And so we are certainly, we agree. I know Minority Leader and Senator Schumer have already said this and would hope that keeping the Capitol and Congress safe and secure remains congressional leaders' #1 goal, and that should be our focus, and that should be what should be considered here. Again, it was one of the darkest days of our democracy, and all you have to do is watch those videos and see how horrific it was, see how sad it was, see an attack on the Capitol, which should not be happening in 2020. And we got to get down to the bottom of what happened. Again, it was an attack on our democracy, and I'll just leave it there.
Yeah. Yeah, we want to get to the truth too. That's why McCarthy released the footage to Tucker to. We want to know what happened. That is what we want. And yet, the Democrats stand in the way every step of the way of trying to find out what happened. So, I believe there is still more there. I don't think we found everything, but hopefully there's more to come. So, and it's not all Democrats that were a part of this. We still had a Republican and a few Republicans, quite frankly, that were not too fond of Tucker Carlson's reporting on this and his journalistic ability. Mitch McConnell, who also had some power during January 6th, being the Senate Majority Leader at the time, he was not a fan of the way that Tucker depicted January 6th. Take a look.
My concern is how it was depicted, which is a different issue. Clearly, the chief of the Capitol Police, in my view, correctly describes what most of us witnessed firsthand on January 6th. So that's my reaction to it. It was a mistake, in my view, for Fox News to depict this in a way that's completely at variance with what our chief law enforcement official here at the Capitol thinks.
Nobody's saying that there was any violence that didn't happen there, Mitch. But the whole truth was not told. We were led to believe that there was absolute anarchy going on everywhere and that democracy was at a legitimate threat, which not a lot of people believed, including myself. And we want to know why Capitol Police were not properly prepared. B, where the hell was the leadership at of Capitol Police, which is Nancy Pelosi, and why nobody decided to beef it up, prepare it, and why are we now trying to cover everything up? That's what we want to know. But so I did some digging around social media trying to find some important people that have, and some not important people, but some people I can just kind of rag on. But nonetheless, we'll go with Charlie Kirk. The left-wing media is melting down, claiming Tucker Carlson cherry-picked January 6th footage. But all of this is new video the public hasn't seen before. So who is guilty of cherry-picking? Tucker Carlson or the people who refuse to show us all 45,000 hours of footage? Yeah, I mean, they're accusing Tucker of what the January 6th committee did. So I find it kind of funny to suggest that. Now, Liz Cheney, she was on the January 6th committee and is just as guilty as the rest of her Democrat compatriots, even though she claims she's Republican. One lesson of the January 6th is this: Trump lies spread on TV and social media provoked a violent attack on our Capitol. No responsible adult, and especially no American pledged to our Constitution, should deny what happened or repeat the same reckless lies. Yet there is no policy done to make sure that this doesn't happen again. And as far as I'm concerned, pointing the finger about lying, and not something the Democrats should be doing at this current point in time, especially given what we now know about January 6th. So that was Liz Cheney chiming in. Donald Trump Jr. Other than perhaps the mainstream media, has any institution done as much damage to its credibility as the United States government has over the past few years? Is there anyone that they got right? Is there anything that they got right? More importantly, is there anything that they did not lie to us about? Yesterday's January 6th video is yet another example of a long list of examples. Every step of the way, Democrats have lied, from the January 6th to the origins of the COVID-19 to the vaccines to their involvement on suppressing right-wing media. It has all been lies from the government and the media. And DTJ is absolutely correct. Let's go to Candace Owens, the who is definitely not controversial in this. Tucker Carlson must air more footage tonight. The entire swamp is losing its collective mind. They never thought the public would learn the truth. Unreal that people still don't see the DOJ played a sinister hand in this. Who don't know who dropped off the pipe bombs? Yes, that's another thing that we need an answer to. Who dropped off the pipe bombs to the RNC and the DNC? And yet that was supposed to be a job of the January 6th committee, and they were so focused on trying to play some mental gymnastics to connect Donald Trump to the to January 6th that there was that we still don't know to this day, 2 years later, who planted the bombs at the RNC and the DNC. And that would have caused far more death than what January 6th did. And of course, we got Brooklyn Dad, who is, for those of you who may not know, he is on Twitter, and he is he's pretty much one of those Democrat slogan machines that. Anyway, if you are appalled at Tucker's mischaracterization of January 6th as a peaceful gathering and the fact that you agree with Mitch McConnell on this, then I suggest you follow us at Rally American One so you can join us in condemning Tucker and BS Mountain. I won't be joining that, but yeah, so the mischaracterization, I wouldn't call it a mischaracterization. He said that there were people still outside being violent and Capitol Police. And the big story here is, gosh, his name keeps escaping me every time I'm on camera. But the Capitol Police officer who passed away days later, and using a Capitol Police officer as a prop to promulgate a narrative that is false, and that the QAnon, shaman, Don, whatever they want to call them, was misled and was led around peacefully by Capitol Police, and he did not present any sort of danger. So, but I went over to True Social to see if I can find some more comments. Travis Tritt, after seeing a video sample of what actually happened on January 6th, the big lie turns out to be the media's and Biden regime's narrative that this was a violent and deadly insurrection. Far from it. This was unquestionably a most peaceful entrance into the Capitol building that day that was assisted by and welcomed by Capitol Police and the Biden regime. Now, there were some violence around the Capitol. That is clear. But to call it a deadly insurrection is completely false. I knew that everybody knew it wasn't an insurrection pretty much by the end of the day on January 6th. Yet they still promulgate it and say that this was the most deadliest attack on the American government since the Civil War and since 9/11 and since this and since that. One person died on that day, and that was a veteran of the military, Ashley Babbitt, who was shot unarmed in cold blood. And that investigation better get reopened, because now that we definitely know that there wasn't any violence actually on the Capitol, and there was only a handful of people that actually did damage to the Capitol. Yeah, we need some answers to that. And it wouldn't be a full comment section without the man, the myth, the legend, Donald J. Trump. Great job by Tucker Carlson tonight. The Unselect Committee of political hacks and thugs have been totally discredited. They knowingly refused to show the videos that mattered. They should be tried for fraud and treason, and those in prison should be persecuted and should be exonerated and released. Now, so, and the main reason why, and it really doesn't matter that the that whether at this point, legally speaking, whether they committed a crime or not, because of exculpatory evidence, and the federal government failed to turn that over. And so now everybody who has been convicted and who has been convicted, they should be exonerated and cannot be tried again. And that is fully on the federal government. Now, I do have to question what in the world was, where in the world, how, why in the world would you have set up all those men and women of the Capitol Police to fail? And that's on Nancy Pelosi. She's in charge of guarding the Capitol. And knew there was a Trump rally, and to play the mental gymnastics of this to try to tie Trump into this, even though his words were, we're going to go and protest peacefully and patriotically. That is not incitement. Now, what Trump has done leading up to it, he definitely raised the temperature, but it did not in any way, shape, or form include incitement. That was a bullcrap theory that was never going to happen. And yet they still use your tax dollars, our tax dollars, to promulgate this lie, to form this lie, and to deceive the public into thinking that this was a full-blown attack, Civil War style, and yet the evidence just isn't there. This looked like a setup, this looked like a coup, and this looked like some sort of manufactured evidence to try to make Donald Trump look bad and to make sure that he is never able to run again. And it is absolutely despicable that they would use tax dollars to make this happen. It's quite unfortunate, but that's just the way that it works, I guess, in DC. And hopefully, in the next couple of elections, this leaves a black eye on Democrats big enough that, and the Republicans play the cards right long enough to where we can have every branch of government under our control. And we can get this country definitely back on track. I'm Dylan Hildreth. This is the Dylan Hildreth Show. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. For those on Rumble, make sure to like and follow. Again, I would Greatly appreciate it. And we'll see you next time on the Dylan Otis Show.